Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today we're going to take a look at the 31st in my series of Spiel des Jahres, or German Game of the Year award winners. And this is the 2005 winner of the prize. This is Niagara, and this is a game it's basically a pick up and deliver game in which players are going to be controlling canoes moving on a rampaging river. It's a game that has very nice components. It plays from 2 to 5 players in the base game, 6 with the expansion, in about 30 to 45 minutes. I'll take a minute to show you how it plays, give you a sense of what it looks like, and come back and let you know what I think about it. Here I set up a 6-player game of Niagara in progress, and this is a game in which players are going to be picking up and delivering these gems of various colors with using these canoes, which will be in the player colors. Some of these canoes will hold 2 gems, some will hold 1 gem, and I should note that this is using the Spirits of Niagara expansion, which does speed up the game significantly, adds a 6th player, and adds some other small fun rules. I definitely prefer to play with the expansion. So the way that the game works is that it's going to go until a player has either collected 4 of one color of gem, 1 of each color of gem, or 7 total gems total. The first player to do that will be the winner. So the way that the game works is that players are going to get a set of these 10 of these paddle tiles, and simultaneously each player will place one of those paddle tiles down. And then in turn order, and this is the turn order marker, which will rotate each round of players clockwise. The first player will flip over their card, their paddle tile card, and then execute that many number of movement points. If you have more than 1 canoe on the board, you're required to move all of them. If you have only 1 on the board or none, you have the option to put pieces onto the board. You always have to have at least 1 canoe on the board during a turn. So for example, this player's played a 2. They could get this canoe home by basically crossing this rope here, by just moving 1. Any excess movement points are fine. You could expend them there, they just go to waste. And they would then collect that 1 gem towards the winning of the game. And then here they have 2 movement points, and they're required to move this one. They could use that 2 movement points to just load up a gem, or they could sail upward. Let's just say they sail upward, 1, 2, and whenever you land moving upriver by exact count on the same space as another player, you have the option to steal a gem. So this player already has a white gem, maybe they want to steal this white gem from that player. And that would end this player's turn. It would go on to the next player, who would flip their tile. And here they've played this 1, 2, 3 tile. And the way that this works is that you get to choose 1, 2, or 3, but you only get to move one of your canoes if you have both on. This player only has 1 canoe on. They might choose to pick up this one and move 1 space upriver. You could only ever load at the beginning or the end of your turn, and you could only ever move all upriver or all downriver with a given canoe. So now moving on to this player, they have a 5 for the black player, so they might move up here. So you'll notice that this is a whirlpool space. This is only in the expansion, and this space basically requires 2 movement points to move past, and if you end on it, you just move 1 space downriver. So this player might choose to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get home with this canoe. And then here, maybe they will load up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, if they stopped here, they would just get pushed back. Let's see, this player here, they've played a rope, which is basically a safety mechanism. It just allows you to ensure that your characters won't get pushed off during the round. So for example, the player would just move all their canoes to the side, and then when the river flows after player movements, their pieces will not move. At the start of the next round, then they'll just get placed back on the board. This player here has played a 5. So they have this space here. They were planning on going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and making it home free, but now they are missing 1 gem, so maybe they want to stop and pick up a gem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That might just be how they do their action. And again, since they only have 1 canoe on, they could choose to bring the 2nd canoe on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's always optional to bring that 2nd canoe on. And then here we have this player played a 2. And they might opt to bring this one home, 1, 2, and then bring their second canoe on, 1, 2. So that would be an entire round of movement in the game. And now what's going to happen is the river is going to move. And you'll look at this indicator here, which counts as the weather indicator. And so if this is ever at +2, the beaver will be on the board. And you'll just basically place it on the start space here. And then it will stay as a +2 until the beaver gets pushed off the end of the board, and then that would reset it to 0. At the start of the game it starts as 0, but players do have these cards which they could play, and when they play these they're going to forego their normal movement and just manipulate this one space up or down. So the way that this is going to work now is you're going to look at the lowest movement card, now not counting the 1, 2, 3 card. So in this case it would be a 2, these two players played 2, and you'll add or subtract the weather. So here it's raining, so the river is going to flow faster, and that many discs are going to get placed and pushed past this rope, causing the river to flow downstream. So for example, we have 4 discs coming, so 1, and you just push until a piece falls off, which sometimes could be a little bit finicky. Here you see we have this little traffic jam situation, but you just correct it, and that will cause the river to flow. Sometimes it helps if you have multiple people doing this just to keep the board flat, but this will just cause this one to go off, so that's 1, and you push it until this one's past the rope. Then we go 2, and this, you'll notice that there's this split in the river. Sometimes it'll go this way, sometimes it'll go this way, so it'll tend to alternate, but it won't always alternate. So for number 2 we push again. You can see again the left side of the river is flowing. Again, it seems to be a little stuck. When it's stuck, you're supposed to press back on both of those and then push again. Again, this is just easier if you have somebody to hold down the board to make sure that's flowing freely. That's 2. And now you'll use these discs for 3 and 4. So these people are obviously in danger of going over the falls. So now we push again, 3. Oops. So here we're stuck. This is just me being bad at this. This game does actually tend to work pretty well. It's just, again, usually I have somebody hold this part of the board down, and then it works much better. So there we go. So 3, and you can see that some canoes fell off, and then we just have to press 1 more in here. And this time that side of the river went off, so those canoes are spared for now. So whenever a player loses a canoe, any gems that they were carrying just get returned back to their supply, and the players lose these canoes out of circulation unless they pay a gem to get them back. If a player has no gems and no canoes, they get 1 canoe back for free. So that would conclude a round, and now every player would just flip over their token, and they won't get to play that paddle token again until they've gone through their entire set of 10. And then the first player will rotate and you just do another round. So some things to note, I guess, would be, first of all, if ever this this whirlpool comes off, it just comes back to the start, so it'll always be next in line to always be present on the board. If the beaver comes off, like I said, you reset this to 0. It makes the river flow less rapidly. If ever a player at the beginning of their turn is next to this pink space here on either side, and this elk is available, they could claim that. So in this case, the black player at the beginning of their turn would be able to claim this, and they will maintain that until they either fall off the waterfall or until they make it home, and then it'll just reset, and that will add +2 to that canoe's movement for the duration of the round. So that just makes it a little easier to get out of there. And again, these 2 pieces here at the start of the turn will come back on. This one goes on to the whirlpool, so it has to move down river 1 space. So again, this is just basically how the game is going to play, and it will just keep going like this until one player collects either 4 gems of the same type, 1 gem of each type, or 7 total gems. And then that player will win the game. Okay, so that is Niagara, and this was the 2005 winner of the Spiel de Jahres. And I demonstrated the game using the expansion because I think that is absolutely essential to enjoy this game. It definitely speeds up the game, keeps it at a length that is bearable, and makes it a little bit less punishing. In the base game, this game can be a little bit brutal, with players falling off the river, losing gems, and just getting in this endless loop of just continually losing gems. It's very much a game that requires forward planning. Although it looks like a kid's game, it tends not to play like a kid's game. And kids, I've played this with kids and seen it go terribly for them, and it's it really turned me off of the game. The expansion, which gives you more powerful paddle cards, you now get a card that lets you travel 7, which is helpful if you're down near the bottom of the river, as well as a little bit more control, such as those rope cards, which could really save you if you're about to fall off the edge of the river. Definitely improves the game, speeds it up, as well as those double canoe tiles, which are not in the base game for some reason, that allow you to pick up more gems during a run. All of those combined make this game definitely play within the 30 to 45 minute range. I've played games of this just playing the base game that have gone over in an hour, and it becomes, I think, a little bit unbearable at a certain point. It's the game doesn't justify that length, and it just becomes a frustration exercise. Again, that's probably says more about my lack of good play, but at the same time, the game does have the potential to just go belly up for the players and become frustrating. And I think the expansion does fix that a great deal. In fact, I would not choose to play this game without the expansion. It improves the game to such an extent. The base game I could take or leave. So, like I said, this was the 2005 winner of the award. Based on the base game, I don't think that's an especially worthy winner of the award. In fact, I would say that's the worst game to be nominated that year. It was nominated alongside games such as That's Life, which is another game that's a roll and move game. This isn't a roll and move game, I suppose, but that's a much better family game. Also, the great 2-player game Jumbo was nominated that year. Around the World in 80 Days is a great race game, and Himalaya is an interesting program movement game. Those are all far superior games, I think, to this, which I think has the best components of any of the games that were nominated that year, but it's somewhat misguiding with those components. It's definitely more of a strategic game, one that's more about reading your opponents than just trying to collect your gems on your own. And it's one that can possibly, like I said, lead to frustration. So I would say beware of that. But with the expansion, I find that it's actually a pretty decent, not my absolute favorite by any means, family game, but it's one that I would be fine with playing. Without the expansion, I have no particular use for the game. So that sounds really negative, but I've just had more than one very bad play sessions of the base game, and whereas I find the game okay with the expansion. So I guess I'll just leave that as a kind of caveat emptor for the game. Those are my thoughts on Niagara, and thanks for watching.